All right, hi guys. So we're gonna start by just going over the homework. And so it's okay if you sat down to do the homework and you felt like totally clueless. Hopefully, at least you got through your balanced equation, right? Because that's not new. And if you needed to talk to somebody to get through it, or you used your notes heavily, you should have done that. Or if you came and met with me, all of these are really great strategies. Okay. So like I said, the thing about stoichiometry is the way that we're going to get better is by practicing it and by like hearing this repetition over and over again. And that is my goal for you guys. So we are going to go over this homework. I'm going to go nice and slow. So I apologize if you got it right off the bat. Great. It's not going to hurt you though to hear it again. Okay. So we're going to go through this problem. Like I said, nice and slow. We're going to use the scaffolding to do it. You'll have the scaffolding for all your practice problems today as well. So we'll go over this homework. Then you'll have a little review activity to work through. Then you'll have a ed puzzle that is very detailed with lots of notes and questions for you to answer and really will force you to be engaged. So there you go. And then after that, you'll have 2 practice problems, and then that should be it for today. Okay, so hang in. You've got this, and let's go over the homework. All right. So here we go. So it says silver oxide reacts with 18.1 grams of calcium. How much silver will be produced? Also, because this is worksheet 1, I will also tell you that calcium oxide is produced. All right. So I always like to just read through the questions first to kind of just give myself an idea. And then you're going to want to take some time to look for some buzzwords. And so what I mean by buzzwords are things like create, reacts with, produces, starts with, forms, anything like that that's going to give you clues about what you're starting with versus what you're ending up with. So here it says silver oxide reacts with calcium. All right, so those are kind of that word react. That is sort of a buzzword, if you will, reacts. And then also it says how much silver will be produced. Well, there you go. There's another buzzword for you. So it's telling me silver oxide reacts with calcium. And so the first thing I need to do is write that balanced equation. So sometimes I think it's helpful for students to take a beat and like actually write the words. So it says silver oxide reacts with calcium. So I'm going to write silver oxide, like the word, plus calcium. All right, and then the question says how much silver will be produced. So I know silver is over here. So the thing is, that's where a normal question would end on like a test. But you are chemistry-y enough that you should look at that and be like, okay, well, where's the calcium and the oxygen, right? Like you should get this like, something's missing. And so that's why in the parentheses, I wrote that because this is worksheet 1, I'm reminding you of what your other product is. But you need to have that kind of ability to look at this and say, well, obviously something is missing, all right? The calcium isn't over here. So this is a single replacement reaction. The calcium and the silver are switching places, so I am ending up with calcium oxide as my other product. And so if it's still helpful for you to take that time, go ahead and write your ions, right? There's no harm in doing that. Calcium alone is just calcium. Silver alone is just silver. Right, and so we're getting all of these charges from the periodic table. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got Ag2O plus Ca is giving us Ag plus CaO. And then we can see that there's 2 silvers on the left, 1 on the right, and so we can balance. Okay, so that was the first part. Read the question, figure out what's reacting, what's being created, things like that, balance the equation. Then identify the given amount and compound. So amount, we're talking about a number, okay? So we go back to the question and it says 18.1 grams of calcium. Great, that's our given amount and compound. 18.1 grams of Ca. So then when we're calculating the mass of our given was calcium. I have 1 calcium. So even though this is super easy, I still take the time to write out all my steps so that I'm getting great at the process. Again, that 40.08 that came from the periodic table. Okay. And so it's helpful to keep track of your units as you're doing this. And our unit for molar mass is grams per mole. So again, just a reminder for you, grams per mole is the same thing as saying grams in 1 mole. Okay. All right. So then we're going to identify our unknown. What we're talking about there is like, what do you not know about? What am I asking for? All right. What is being questioned? And so it says, how much silver will be produced? So there we go. That's the question. Silver. Boop. Let's see, actually, I'm going to write AG. I think that's more helpful to just use symbols as you go through this because that helps you keep track when you're doing masses, actually. All right, so we need to calculate the molar mass of our unknown. So that was the silver, which means there's 1 silver. Now, here's a really important place where students often make a mistake in this problem. So molar mass, if I were to ask you that unit, you should say, okay, molar mass is grams per mole. Okay, at this point, like we're good at that. We can say grams per mole, grams per mole. What is it? Grams per mole. Okay, so grams per mole, again, is the same thing as grams in 1 mole. 1 mole, okay? Molar mass is always 1 mole. Your molar mass does not have anything to do with those coefficients. So yes, up here in our balanced equation, it is saying 2 moles of silver. That's the ratio. That has to do with that perfect equation of silver oxide with calcium. When you are calculating the molar mass of something, you are saying how much is in 1 mole, regardless of that balanced equation. So for us, for silver, when we're calculating the molar mass, we're still looking at just one individual 107.9 grams per 1 mole. The 2 comes in with our ratios. So a reminder, your mole ratio is a comparison of your given to your unknown, and you figure out what your numbers are for that from your coefficients. Okay, and again, your coefficients are the numbers used in that balanced equation. So we've got 1 mole of calcium, right? You can see that up here. And then our unknown is the silver. Okay, so to 2 moles. So that is where your 2 moles are coming from. Okay, so that's the hard part. All right, we pulled all the information, we read the question, we balanced the equation, we calculated molar masses, did all that. Now you're ready for the train tracks. This is the part that follows that exact same beautiful process every time. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so that we can see all of our info while we do our train tracks. Okay. So as a quick reminder about the process for these, remember that they are always the same. You are going to start with your given. Then you're going to go to your, actually we were doing it, we were just listing. You go to your given, then you use the molar mass of your given, then you use the mole ratio, and then you use the molar mass of your unknown. And yes, that was a toddler getting out of bed. Okay, so from here, now we have our like reminder of what these steps are gonna look like. We have this train track that's going to beautifully line up with each of those steps. Given, molar mass given, mole ratio, molar mass unknown. And again, this whole process, the whole reason we're freaking doing this is trying to figure out like, okay, if I have this much calcium, how much silver can I make? That is a real thing. I want to know how much silver I can make. That'd be great, right? And so I'm saying, boom, I got 18.1 grams of calcium from the question. That was my given. Okay, so if I have 18.1 grams of calcium, I'm going to use train tracks to determine how much silver I could potentially produce in a lab. Remember that our units are canceling on the diagonal. So I have to have grams of calcium down there. Okay, beautiful diagonals. Then we have to think, I am going to use molar mass to do this. Molar mass, going between moles and mass, right? It's in the word. So I look back and I say, awesome, my molar mass told me 40.08 grams per 1 mole of calcium. Again, molar mass is always some number of grams in 1 mole. Okay, some number of grams in 1 mole. Great. 40.008 grams of calcium per 1 mole of calcium. There it is. Okay, that got us to moles. So our next step is using that mole ratio. Right here, we said that 1 mole of calcium, it's just a coincidence that this happens to be 1 also. That was because the coefficient in the balanced equation was 1. There's not always going to be a 1 down there, okay? So notice I put calcium on the bottom in order to get that nice cancellation. So then from that point, I know that 1 mole of calcium is going to be making 2 moles of silver, okay? And then again, canceling on the diagonal, moles of silver there. I need to have moles of silver here, okay? And then we know that the molar mass of our unknown is what we need to use here. And that molar mass is always some number of grams per 1 mole. Some number of grams per 1 mole. So for silver, we said that in 1 mole, there are 107.9 grams. Okay, so that is your train track process. I tried to color coordinate it so you could see how the units were canceling. So now we're gonna plug this in. So when we're plugging this into our calculator, everything on top gets multiplied, everything on the bottom gets divided by. So I'm gonna type 18.1 times 1 times 2 times 107.9. Yes, you can skip the times 1. Divided by 40.08 divided by 1 divided by 1 equals 97.4545908. Again, we haven't super chatted about rounding. I don't care where you round to. I think most students typically round to that 100th spot. So 97.45 grams of silver. And if you find yourself being like, wait, what was the unit? What was it? Remember, you can figure it out. Grams canceled, moles canceled, moles canceled, left with grams of silver. It's right there in the train tracks. So that's why I like to include everything in my train tracks as I'm going through, because not only does it help keep me organized, not only does it make sure I put things in the right place, it also tells me what my unit is in the end. Okay, so there we go. So that was your homework problem. Now, let's say you just listened to that video and you were like, that was okay, or you felt really great, or you felt super lost. Regardless of where you are on that spectrum, like I said, you're now going to be watching an Edpuzzle to, not now, first you're going to pull some old information, then you're watching an Edpuzzle that is really detailed in terms of going through these processes again. So you will go through balancing, you'll go through mole ratio, you'll go through pulling all of that information and the train track process. In the video itself, there are 3 examples. So there's one where it's like very slow, lots of chatting throughout, some questions. Then the next example will be just like a run through. And then the third example, I actually ask you to stop the video. The little note will appear, which stops the video. And I want you to give it a go. Whether that's talking to somebody, not everybody, okay, I have no large groups, whether that's talking to somebody or just challenging yourself and seeing how you do, give the third one a go. And then once you've tried, the video will start. Or if you just like need a little boost, remember you could start the video and then stop it and then keep trying. And then if you get stuck again, start the video again, right? Like use the video as needed. So whether you need a little bit of a crutch or no crutch, just try. Okay. And then I will give you 2 practice problems that I'd like for you to submit onto iNewman. I'm not grading them for correctness. Okay. I don't want that to sound scary. Okay. But I do want to check in and just kind of see where we're at. Okay. So good luck with the work today. You know, you can talk if you need to. You are in a room with other students, or you can Zoom with other peers if you're remote learning. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. You can even Zoom with people in the class if you'd like. So give it a go. Do your best. And I will see you for our next class.